Trigger warning: the following episode contains talk about children's mental health, anger and rage, anxiety, depression, rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, hospitalization, exposure therapy, and other topics that may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode. Mikey on mute, your mind's implode. He's coming off mute for you. Feel the vibe, it's something new.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Mikey on Mute. As always, I'm your host, Mikey, coming off mute, not just to talk about my mental health journey, but talk to others about theirs, make these conversations less taboo, and really keep that conversation moving forward. Today, I am so excited to have a very special set of guests here for the podcast. And before we bring them on, I just want to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite podcasts. As I've said before, true crime is one of my favorite podcast genres. I listen to it all the time. And today we have the host of Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes, which is a spine-chilling true crime podcast with a paranormal twist to it. Each episode, the hosts unravel eerie mysteries, blending true crime with supernatural elements. And I can't get enough of it. It's on my first listen every time I have it going, and it should be on your rotation as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my favorite Canadians here, Avery and Mandy. How is everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks,
Thank
Mikey.
you. Yes. Yeah, that was an awesome introduction. And thank you so much for having us on your podcast. We're really excited to kind of have a chat with you finally in person, for even if it's virtually, to chat. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really was excited because we connected through Instagram and have been very supportive of each other. And the community just is amazing within Instagram and social media and podcast hosts. And I know we've chatted back and forth. And that when I say favorite Canadians, I'm telling my listeners, like, seriously, these are the people I will chat with like multiple times per week.
Yeah.
We are sending messages back and forth. So quickly becoming really, really good friends. And so I'm thankful that you were able to join the podcast here today.
No, it's been such a long time since we've been on anybody's podcast. So I'm super excited for this one. And of course, like, we love listening to your podcast. We're cheering you on constantly. So I know we're both really excited for this.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. For the listeners, if they haven't listened to Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes, between Avery and Mandy, do you want to kind of give a little synopsis of how you came up with the podcast, how it's evolved over time, what your interests were in it? Just, ramble on about it, because I love promoting it.
This is honestly like our favorite story to tell, I think.
We love telling this story.
Love it. You go for it, Mandy.
Okay, I get to go for it. Okay, so Avery and we've actually been friends for 11 years now. So she was dating my cousin, and she, kind of came in, and I was pregnant with my my youngest. So she's always been around, and she would help babysit both my kids, and we just got really close. And then when COVID happened, we got even closer, when you could have like your small group of people. It was my cousin, her, me, my ex-husband, and another friend of ours too. So we just spent a lot of time together going on adventures and girl adventures, and her and my cousin didn't work out. Me and my ex-husband clearly didn't work out. So I got to kind of keep her in that divorce situation. I mean, I still have my cousin, but I have her also. So she's kind of stuck with me and my children and my family. My sister, we all still love her, and we spend a lot of time together. And I remember it was early COVID when you could first start going out and hanging out with people and doing things. We decided to go to the beach one day, and it was me and Avery and another one of our friend Sarah, who we mentioned, who did not want to be on the podcast with us. So we always shout her up for that. But we had gone to the beach that day. We had a great time. We were just having laughs, and we were just like, man, we're hilarious. We think we're so funny. Like, we should start a podcast. And so ever since then, we've just been talking about it. And then finally last March, I think it was like last February, we were like, hey, let's just do this. Let's just get it done. Let's start it. And we kind of went with it from there, bought some microphones, researched some stories and sat down and just started recording, and then realized, well, we need a name. What are we going to do? So we went through a list of names, some random names too, which is
Quite a
really
few.
funny. Some of them were just ridiculous that no one would even think was hilarious, but we thought was so funny. What was the one we thought was hilarious? It was What's Eating Gulbert Grape. We thought it was
Yeah.
so funny. Like, I don't know why we did.
It's a good pun. I like it.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, maybe it's a Canadian booze. I don't know, but we
It's
thought it was
something.
funny. And then we stumbled upon just thick thighs and creepy vibes, and I don't know why it just stuck for us. So
It just stuck in
kind
the
of
way like TTCV like rolled off the tongue. We were like, that's it. That's the one.
yeah.
Well, that's a
And we're
great
not we're,
story, and I
unapologetically
think you nail
ourselves.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best way to be, is when we can just be ourselves. And it comes across when you listen to the podcast, the connection you two have as friends and how passionate you can be about this. And what I love about it is it's a mix of humor. There's, empathy for the victims. There's information. So you get a mix of a lot of things that where other podcasts might be a little bit more hyper focused on one topic, but you have it kind of all over. And I really enjoy that blend, if you will. So I just I can't speak highly enough of the podcast. I'm really a big fan, as you can see, as I keep saying the same
We
thing over and
appreciate
over.
it.
But
Yeah. No, we really do. We've done this for about a year now, and when we started it, we had no idea where we would be today. It's been a year now, a little over a year, and we started it in my basement recording, where we still sometimes record together. We record virtually. It gets crazier when we're together. Those episodes are usually like unhinged,
They're
but
very unhinged and
very
wild.
unhinged, but it happens. Our focus was to kind of focus on an all Canadian crime podcast, like true crime, histories, mysteries, that type of stuff around Canada, because there are so many podcasts that we listen to because true crime's our thing. And a lot of them touch on the same serial killers and the same situations that are just so I find over exasperated. Like, I just feel like I don't want to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer anymore. I don't want to talk about John Wayne Gacy. I don't want to talk about those things because they've already gotten more of the fame that they need to. If we're going to talk about that, let's talk about the victims. And so our focus in our podcast is to talk mainly about the victims and give their story, but also focus on, because Canada is, we're huge in missing and murdered Indigenous women. That was a huge focus for us, and it's very close to us and really important for us to get their information out there and their stories, because a lot of them are unsolved, and that's the saddest part for us. And we know there's a lot of that in the US as well. So we're happy to share those cases too. But a huge focus for us is, focusing on missing and murdered Indigenous women and focusing on a lot of small, even unsolved cases in Canada that people haven't heard about, because there are some pretty big ones. And Canada's just awesome and has a lot of beautiful areas and a lot of haunted churches and hotels and, lighthouses. So we like to break it up a little once in a while and kind of give you a little bit of spooky and fun experiences that people have had, and even some of our own experiences we've had. So we kind of like to take a deep dive into a place we live that we don't know about fully either. So that's kind of what our focus is. And we don't take life too seriously. Like, we have empathy and sympathy and, passion for the victims in these cases. But sometimes we got to laugh about stuff and we got to brush it off, because true crime is very heavy and it can affect your mental health, which Avery and I have noticed recently. We've kind of taken a step back from true crime episodes and just focused on some fun legends and some fun hauntings and stuff like that, because, our mental health, we're like, we're not doing so great with the mental health. Let's kind of take a step back and do something fun. And then that's where it brings in, a little bit of humor and laugh and just kind of breaks it up from the stuff that is so sad. And life is rough for a lot of people right now. Like, the world's on fire, as some people like to say. So, you just got to have a little bit of humor in between it too. Doesn't always have to be so serious. So,
And I think that's a great answer. And I loved when you reached out and told me that there was, you do have somebody to check in with when your mental health gets heavy.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, true crime is a very hard and heavy topic to cover. Just like mental health, if you dive too far into it, it can really start to take a toll. And so it's good
Mhm.
to find that comedy and all that.
Mhm.
And I always have this weird like correlation question. Like maybe it's just because true crime is my favorite podcast genre, but like I'm curious on your thoughts. Do you think there's any correlation between those that might live with some mental health struggles and like a tie to really liking true crime, or is it more so just like coincidence? And that's always one of my little fun like icebreaker questions I like to ask people. Like, do you think there's a connection? I'm also a partial conspiracy theorist, so laugh at
Yeah.
me if you will, but
No,
you know.
no.
So
I get it.
there's a sticker
Mhm.
on my car that says birds aren't real. That's a whole nother topic, but
That's a
I
great
always
sticker,
like to just
actually.
ask, like, do you think there's any correlation between mental health and true crime as far as like, does it help or worsen? And that's where I like to kind of start the conversation.
That's an interesting one. I can see it going both ways, really. I feel like for me, it kind of like pulls me out of my head a little bit because I have to focus so much in on like the case, or I'm trying to like sympathize or think about the victim so much where it kind of like distracts me from my own kind of stuff going on. So that might be a correlation. I don't know, but
Personally feel like it might be a correlation in the aspect that when you're people who have like deal with like their mental health, I find especially if you have a lot of anxiety, you tend to focus on everyone else because you try to take like get like you said, get out of your own head and your own space. But I find people who suffer a lot with that are tend to be people pleasers at the same time, or sympathize with other people and take on other people's emotions. So when you dive into true crime, you're picking up someone else's emotions and you're feeling their sympathy, not your own anymore. Now you're feeling that part of it. How can you help them? What can you do? And at the same time, I don't know, maybe it comforts them because maybe they've been through something that's triggering or, trauma related that they can relate to in those cases that they've listened to, or the victims. That's kind of how I feel like, in a way, there probably is. Same with, those ones who I get a lot of tattoos because that's my therapy. You know what I mean? It's like there's a pain aspect to it, and there's a sympathy aspect to it, and there is an emotional aspect to all of it. That's how I look at it.
I don't have enough tattoos. I need more ink therapies.
same.
So I have 6, I believe. I need to get one colored in yet, but like if I had the money for it, it would be covered. I
Yeah,
swear.
tattoos so
Like I'm
expensive. Yeah.
all for it, yeah. So I
Ever?
didn't have the money for a tattoo, but this weekend I needed some kind of distraction. So I went and pierced my
I
nose. I
saw
don't know if the
that.
camera is
Yeah.
gonna
That looks good.
catch it
I
there,
like
but
it.
uh,
Yeah.
never got a piercing before, but it was just kind of out of my comfort zone, and I thought I was like, oh,
Mhm.
this will be fun. Well, why not do it?
Yeah. No, it's so funny because I've had tons of piercings. Like, I still kind of have look like you can still it kind of looks like I have one, but I used to have one here. And so I had tons of piercings growing up. My mom always makes fun of me because she's like, you hate needles, you hate getting your blood taken, you hate shots, but you have how many tattoos and piercings? I had tons of piercings, and then I started like to get into tattoos. And Avery and I have quite a few
Yeah,
tattoos that are matching. But I have at least, I think 18 or I would count every time we're
I
together. We're
think
like,
so.
we count them. And now we need
I know
more.
we're like
Cause
close in range because we like
yeah.
count all of our little ones. I'm like, it counts. I did it at a separate time. It's fine. But
And then you forget
Yeah.
about ones because you're like, oh, I forgot I had that one because I don't see that one anymore on the back of
yeah,
my neck. Like, I forgot I had it. But we have two matching ones. We have a hot chili pepper because we're spicy. That's what we always say. And we went last October and got ghost tattoos holding little microphones for our podcast. And we got them. I got mine on my foot and yours is on your ankle.
yeah,
And we got them by the same artist who did our peppers. And she's actually local to us. Avery went to school with her, and she does a lot of her and her brother's tattoos. And she does the hand poke tattoos.
Oh,
which
okay.
are a crazy concept to me when I first did it, but I prefer it over a gun. So it's
I remember like trying to convince Mandy, like, okay, like if we're gonna get these tattoos, like I really want to do a stick and poke. And she's like, is she gonna take like the hammer and the needle and like tap it? I'm like, no, it's not like that, but I can see where your mind was going with it.
yeah.
Um,
No, it's really you don't even feel it. Like it's a really cool experience. So if you can find someone local or if you get your passport and come down here, we'll hook you up with our girl Gap because she's pretty awesome.
That passport is definitely on my list of priorities to get for many, many reasons
Mhm.
that we've talked about in private, but we can also
Yeah.
go. I'm also excited just to travel for the podcast. I made so many like friends internationally, whether it's Canada. I've had 2 people from Australia on the podcast, which is
Awesome.
just a whole different world. It's so strange to see in the best way, but I love it. So I'm definitely up for getting a passport and coming to Canada, especially like I said, with this blooming friendship we're building. I'm
Mhm.
all for it.
Awesome.
we can take you on some like ghosty tours.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah, that would be
There's a
awesome.
ton in our area.
lots. Yeah.
Well, as we're planning that, I do want to dive in a little bit more on your perspective, Avery, because with mental health, you work with children with disabilities, and I know that is a big passion and it means so much. And so I want to understand, like, how does mental health show up in your daily life, with working and with your own mental health, whether that's, something that pops up. So I'd love to hear kind of how your perspective is on that.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say in my average day, I deal with a wide variety of any type of mental health, whether it's my own or the families I'm supporting, the clientele I'm supporting. It comes and goes in just so many different ways. So I know for myself, when I'm walking into a session or a new client, a new family, I need to make sure to put myself in a proper headspace. So often I will kind of do my own thing, recalibrate, come to, so that I'm ready and I'm focused because the families that I work with, it's heartbreaking to hear some of the stories that they go through, whether it's the client not being able to express how they're feeling and they're struggling in their own way, or it's the families struggling to find supports. Currently in Ontario, the funding model behind the type of therapy I do is really, really challenging. And it's so hard for parents to navigate that it just puts an additional toll on them on top of having to kind of adjust their lives in any given moment to best suit their child and then their entire family structure. So it's quite challenging, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes for myself, I'll come home and I'll have really great days where I'm like, okay, I made an impact in this kid's life. Like I feel so good. I'm on top of the world. I want to share with everybody. And then the next day I could hit a roadblock. And one thing that I'm trying to work on a lot with myself is not kind of making a roadblock about myself. And that's kind of been a bit of a struggle, especially lately. Um, Sometimes when I'm working with a client, I'll see like a nice increase in skills or behavior, whatever I'm kind of targeting. And then all of a sudden it'll plateau or it'll just kind of take a nosedive. And immediately I'm like, oh, crap, what did I do? What happened? Like, and then I just start overthinking a little bit. So it's a bit of a rocky road, but making sure like I got a good support system. I love my friends. I love my family. They're there for me. Having nice little hobbies here and there that I can just distract myself, let go of work, move past whatever I dealt with, that kind of stuff. So it's a little all over the place. I'm not gonna lie at all, but it's really rewarding in the end, and I take pride in it a lot. And Mandy sometimes hears my wild client stories, and she's like, "You deal with that on a day-to-day basis?" I'm like, yeah, I do. It's a little much, but
You're a
it's really
special
really
type of
fun.
person and you have that just has that type of personality that's very calming, very patient demeanor but she's also fun and like childlike and she can still like enjoy these children and who they are as a person and gives so much to them. Like I know she was off in December, she was sick and she was kind of going through some stuff and she couldn't wait to get back to her kids
Yeah,
because she just that's what she misses the most. Even during COVID, she had to be off for a while and the
yeah,
biggest thing she missed was her children and there's just not enough people like her in the industry out there. And we just need a lot more Averys out there because, you know, you just give so much of yourself. And I think that's why you're so hard on yourself at the same time,
Yeah.
is because you give so much of yourself to them. But at the same time, you have to remember that it's not all you, you know, they're also learning and they're also struggling and they're going through patterns and development, and they're going home to a different environment than what they just had with you. So you give
Definitely.
everything you can, and that, I think that's truly important. And you have an amazing dad who leaves you little notes every day. Her dad is like, he leaves her these little inspirational notes all the time, and she'll send them to us, and they're like the cutest
Yeah.
little note. They're adorable. So she has a
It's
great
so fun.
support system.
Now that Mandy says that, I have like a bunch of them on my desk right here, and there's one that it kind of sticks with me a little bit because it comes and goes, but I feel overall like I'm a very reserved person. I have a hard time maybe like putting myself out there, and I fear a lot of things. The list could go on. So my dad sent me this note, or left this note for me at a time where I was looking to change just my jobs. I had it pretty easy going at my past employer, where taking a bigger step was very, very challenging for me. And I was like, I don't know if I'm making the right move. Like, am I going to throw my whole life into a different area? But he left this note for me, and it was the day that I actually got the offer for my new job. So it says, fear. It's your best friend or your worst enemy. It's like fire. If you can't control it, it can cook for you. Sorry, I did this last time I read it too. If you can control it, it can cook for you. It can heat your house. If you can't control it, it'll burn everything around you and destroy you. Surprising quote by Mike Tyson. So that's kind of the stuff that my dad will lead me around, that Mandy will often talk about, and I do send it to all my friends. I'm like, you guys need to look at this too. It's really inspiring.
That is so, so sweet. I mean, that support is so cool to hear. You do commendable work. It's
Thank
really
you.
inspiring. And I know that can be really difficult when you're carrying that load, to feel those things where it might feel like you didn't give enough of yourself, but like
Mm-hmm.
Mandy has said multiple times, you give so much of yourself that they're very lucky. And I love hearing that support system. Those notes are huge, to know
They
that
are.
somebody still cares about us and has kind of eyes from the outside pointing out our good things and our positives. So that just makes me happy to hear these stories. Like, yeah, I'm giddy right
Yeah.
now with the support your dad has for you. Well,
It's really incredible. And then I've got awesome friends like Mandy, who's just kind of like cheer me on always. Like, oh, Mandy, I had a crappy day, and she's like, oh, you're this, and she just will hype me up no matter what. So it's
And then I
awesome.
do stupid things just to make you laugh because you need a good
Very
laugh
true.
once in a while, right? That's the way it is.
it's pretty great. And Mandy has spoken so highly of you, and really wanted to make sure that we touched on that topic when I was like, hey, what are we going to do, on the talk and everything like that. So wanted to make sure, and kind of want to go over to Mandy now, like with your daily life, where does mental health show up for you? I know that there have been struggles and everything like that, but whatever you're comfortable with your daily life, where does mental health show up for you?
For me, my mental health, the biggest thing for me is juggling being a single mom is, I think, the hardest thing, especially this year. I'm struggling hard this year. I'm turning 40. I've got an 18-year-old who just went off to college last September. He joined the reserves in January. So he's in school for, I think it's automotive business. God, I'm the worst mother. I never remember. So he's in school and he's got 2 years. Almost done his first year. He's going to a co-op. He's in the reserves also, and he's not that far away from me, but he's out of the house. I'm here. I've been like with my parents since my divorce. How many years has it been? Like 3, 4, I think.
Or I think, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been with my parents and I'm turning 40, and here, like, I'm still here, still with my parents. We're together. I've got my youngest also, and I'm struggling working. I've got 2 kids they have quite of an age gap. I've got an 11-year-old, an 18-year-old, and they both have different fathers. So it's, I'm dealing with 2 different aspects of, their other parent, and I'm also dealing with, who they are as people and what they're going through in their lives, and they're going through different things, and they're going through different things with they're different dads. So it's not the same. It's not like, I've got both my kids with one person who it's the same person doing the same thing with them. It's two different aspects. And so it's really hard to navigate. And I'm just trying to, as I said, I'm like just trying to survive over here. And it's, I give so much at work, and I give a lot at work. I do what I have to do. And then I come home, and it's like I never really get a chance to turn anything off. So I work all day. I kind of have like a little side job I do also just to pick up some extra money because, my son wants to get into hockey and that's expensive. And I don't have the biggest financial support on the other end. It's like I'm, trying to work and then help my oldest go through college and help that financially. So it's been, it's like I'm never stopping. It's like I'm constantly like at one job or at another one, or, I'm home and now I'm like with my kid, I'm like, hey, I got to focus. We got to do things. Then it's like, okay, now you got to go through like, make sure he's good, make sure he has what he needs. And you're like me, I'm the main parent. I'm the one who does all the appointments and the bookings and taking them there and making sure they have their clothes. And did you have your bath? Did you brush your teeth? And so it can overpower, and it can be a lot. And I forget to take time for me. And if I do, I always feel bad about it. So I just try to take a step back, and I'm also trying to like maintain a social life, and I'm in a relationship and, navigating that as a single parent. And my boyfriend also is a single parent. He's a full-time parent. So there's a lot of things that just trying to keep together, and then our podcast, and that gets a little off track sometimes, but it's just trying to keep myself in check. And if my son's not doing okay mentally, or neither of my kids are doing okay mentally, because kids tend to lean towards the parents who they feel the safest with, and because I'm both my children's safe parent, I get a lot of the emotional part of it. And with my oldest, we grew up together. I was 21 when I had him. So I'm his safe space, and I'm who he comes to all the time. And my youngest is the same thing. Like I'm always around because, he's here all the time, but he spends more time with me and not as much as, with his other half. And so I get when he's not doing okay, I get that part. He also struggles with anxiety. So if his anxiety is high, my anxiety is high. And it's just trying to manage and navigate that. And everyone has a different form of anxiety. So it's been a struggle. He's 11. Things are good. He has a therapist. He's talked to them. He has certain like exercises he does and certain things he enjoys, but it just like, it was years of learning how to cope. And it still is. He's getting older. He's going to be getting into his teens. And day to day is always changing. So I find I never know what I'm going to walk into, and that can mentally take a toll on me because I'm carrying all of it with me. So sometimes are harder than others. And I think turning 40 this year was really gonna put a little bit more on top of that. And I don't know why, because I've never cared about that before, but I don't know. It might be just a mixture of, kid went to college, in the reserves. I've got an 11-year-old at home, and here, what's the future going to hold, or is everyone okay? So that's mentally where I'm struggling, where I'm at. Poor Avery. She
Well, I
knows all about
appreciate
this.
it. I
I
really do
always,
appreciate you being a safe space. Go ahead, Avery.
sorry, I always just like commend Mandy. Like as long as I've known her, like I've known her since I was 17, 18 now. Like it's been a wild, wild time for us. And at any given moment, she's always juggling like 5 or 6 things, and she never lets them fall. And there's so much like respect that I have for Mandy for being like, on the surface, she just seems like so put together, and it's okay to,
I'm glad you
to
think
fall
that.
apart.
Thank you.
I mean, like, I know you, so like I know when things are the way they're going, but to like a random stranger on the road, they're gonna look at her and be like, my goodness, look at that lady. And I don't have the words to express how great she keeps the ball rolling. Her kids have always just felt immense love. I always joke, because there is a bit of an age gap between Mandy and I, that I'm like, she's like my second mom. I know that she's always there for me and caring for me.
I'm close in
And
age
it's
to your
just,
mom anyways, so
she is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry. But she just keeps it all going. Like, no matter where she's
thanks,
at, she's
baby.
like, ugh, you want to throw something else at me? Bring it.
So I tuck and roll, you know? That's just kind of,
It's like, stop, drop, and roast.
yeah. It's always on fire over here. Always.
Always.
I just wear a fire suit,
The
guys.
care and support that you have for each other, it warms my heart because I can see it, I can hear it, I can feel it, and those are the support systems we need in life. It's challenging. I Both my boys are from different moms. I understand that it gets very difficult to balance out. You're not just co-parenting with one person, but co-parenting with two and
Yes.
trying to balance that out, and it's really tough. My boys are 13 and 16, so it is
Yep.
quite the age to be trying to figure this out, and it gets to be a lot. You have their sports, like you said, and um, it, it can be a lot. So big props to you for still knocking it out of the park, still kicking ass while everything's going
Thank you.
on around here. You know, like just take that time. I know you, like you said, it's difficult to take some me time, take some downtime to just kind of reset and rest, but that's probably been one of my biggest light bulb moments is understanding that me time is not selfish. Like I need that to basically refill my cup before I'm going to pour it into anybody else's. So if I can give any advice, and I know it's easier to say it than do it, but absolutely take that me time, find something you like doing and just enjoy that time because it doesn't come around very often. So, but I just want to make sure both of you know, like, I am so happy that both of you felt safe to share. Like, these are amazing to hear your perspectives on it, and I appreciate that. So, I just wanted to gush a little bit more about you two real quick.
Thank you. No, it is.
Thank
I
you.
find it's a very safe space with you. Like ever since we started chatting, I've been listening to your podcast, and that the stuff that you put out there for other people to listen to and hear. And it's not easy. Like it's a very very vulnerable thing to do, and to put your experiences and how you're feeling because when you struggle with mental health, you feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like I'm a burden to other people. And it's also stems from my previous relationship where I just feel like I'm a burden if I'm saying how I feel or I'm not okay. And that I'm putting my problems onto someone else that probably has, obviously, everyone's got problems, they got their own situations, but I just feel like I don't want to give that to other people and put that on other people. So it's hard to talk about, not because it's hard to talk about, it's hard to feel like you're bothering someone else or giving too much and unloading too much on someone who already is full and you just don't know that. So it's a struggle, right? But no, I appreciate, and I really enjoyed listening to um when I first started listening. I really resonated because you went through divorce and struggles with it and the feelings that came with it. And I don't personally know anyone else who has fully gone through a divorce with children. So it was nice to hear it from some other's perspective with that. And I've had a great support system throughout, with my divorce and everything, but having someone kind of understand exactly where you're coming from and your feelings in it help validate, like, okay, the other person tried to gaslight me and make me feel these things, but you know, that's why I'm here and not there still. So yeah, it's good to know you're not alone, and it's shitty to be like, we can connect in this type of way, but it's there's a lot more of it happening and a lot more of it out there than we know, and a lot of people just don't really talk about it.
That's the big thing with
I
people
get
not
that.
talking about it too, is like you just feel so alone. Like when I'm going through something, I'm like, "Ugh, nobody knows what I'm gonna say to them. Like they're not gonna understand, so why bother?"
Yeah.
And that's obviously not the case. So being able to listen to you and just you opening up about a bunch of different things, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I do that. Like I'm not the only one. I don't have to feel so isolated. So
Yeah,
Well, I
so
appreciate
true.
that, and that's kind of been this big second like push of the podcast because I did the first 11 episodes, kind of gave my overview, and then it kind of came to a point where I was like, what's next? And it became I want to talk to other people, gain perspective and have these kind of real conversations. So it's really appreciated. And I love hearing perspective, especially from places that I can't physically be or anything like that. And so I like to ask people, and I think you two would be able to give me probably a great answer. How can us men be better role models in the mental health community? Because I know that we're doing, as what we can for talking, and I know it's a mental health struggle for everybody, regardless of how you identify or anything like that. But how can we be better role models for the world and mental health? And I would love to hear your kind of ideas and views on that.
I would like to
Yeah.
say first, sorry, Avery, if you had
No, go.
something, but I know you have sons and, I raise boys. And I think it's really important and great that you're able to be open and vulnerable with your sons and teaching them that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And it's okay to talk about these things. And as long as we're teaching the next generation these things and how to manage through, their anxiety and their depression, and that they can go to people and resources, what's available, and never feel bad about feeling sick or upset or, I just want to stay in bed today. And that's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be in the social setting. I think it's really important because I know that for me as a mother of boys too, I was like, I want my sons to understand that they don't always have to be tough. And I have to remind my oldest, you don't always have to be tough. I'm going to tell myself that too sometimes, but it's okay because you need to be vulnerable. One day you're going to be in a relationship and it's not going to work out and you're not going to understand if no one tells you these things because you don't know it's okay to let them talk to you. You don't know it's okay to be vulnerable and, open up and be emotional and be yourself and express your anxiety and know how to handle it and how to, move past it and how to deal with their partner if their partner's struggling with any of that. And I think that's a really, really important thing, an important tool that you have at the moment. And I also think with this podcast and the amount of people you've reached so far is important, and advocating and getting other people's words out there, your words, their feelings. And like you said, your focus is to get a passport and move around and talk to other people and go different places because there's so much out there to advocate for yourself or your community and what programs are available and what you need. And I think that's, you've started with your kids and now you're making waves with that. And I think getting them involved in that type of stuff too is really important.
Yeah.
Sorry, Avery, you can go now. That was mine.
No. I just like kind of piggyback off that. Mandy hit a lot of the points that I was going for too. Is like, I remember being preteen and in high school, and just the stigma around men and mental health was just complete garbage. Like,
I know.
everyone was like, oh, you can't act that way. Like, you're a man, like, man up.
Mm.
No, you're still allowed to have these feelings. So a big thing that like I've been doing with work, I work with like a wide range of ages. So I have this teenager who's really struggling. Like, he feels alone all the time. He won't talk about certain things. And like, I am not a mental health support worker, crisis worker, anything like that. But I just try to make sure, like, dude, you can talk to me whenever you want. It's okay. You're allowed to feel these things. You're not alone. So just constantly reassuring that men and young boys, like, they don't have to feel so isolated and closed off. Like, it's okay for all of these things, all of these feelings. We all feel them. So why can't you talk about them? So I really appreciate anybody who's like trying to open that door more. It should be wide open. It shouldn't even be a door. But like,
No.
it's okay to talk about it. You're a human. We all are. We all feel these things. So
One thing
Yeah.
too is in your community where you live, like, are you connected to any like groups, any like churches, community stuff? Because if you have the time and you're getting your podcast name out there, I think it'd be good to kind of like have a little group, like they do for AA and stuff like that. But hey, let's get together and let's chat, or hey, let's get together and go like do something fun together as a group of people, and then just chat, have coffee, talk about
Yeah.
stuff, but spend time together doing stuff too, and kind of getting, like little moms have groups, the newborn baby, so they don't, sit at home and their postpartum gets crazy. Men need that too. because sometimes they're the ones taking care of everyone in their family and they may feel overwhelmed. So,
And I know from like a young boy or a teenager's perspective too, like in Canada, I'm not 100% sure about the States or anywhere else in the world, like we have programs like Big Brother, Big Sister. And I think those are great resources. My brother used to be a Big Brother when he was, he still lived in more of a city setting. It's kind of hard for him where he is now. He's very far north, but like, it's just such a great thing. Like a lot of preteen boys don't have that connection or the support. So stuff like that too is really awesome.
yeah, youth programs and taking your kids to those and meeting people. And yeah, I think that is a great place too. I mean, you went somewhere the other day and someone was like, "Hey, are you this person?" So look, you already are establishing your way in there, okay?
I couldn't believe that when that
That's
happened. It was
crazy.
That's wild.
like everyone that's listening, I don't hold back about my personal life or anything like that.
Yeah.
Weirdest scenario, because I was going to get a CPAP for my sleep apnea. So, like, not a situation that I thought I'd come across somebody
Right?
that's
Yeah.
listened to me, but I walked in there and I checked in with the receptionist and she's like, I have a weird question for you. And I'm like, okay, about my medical history or like
Yeah, right?
how weird are we gonna get? Like, I'm pretty open. So and she's like, do you have a podcast? I'm like, I got like skeptical at first. I'm like, yes, maybe. What depends on your answer here. And she's like, are you Mikey on mute? I'm like, I am. And she's like, oh my gosh, I listened. I just told my coworker about you earlier today. And I'm like, what? Like,
I love that for you. Yeah.
I had to
That's
text my wife. I'm like,
amazing.
I don't know what happened, but somebody recognized me from the podcast. Like,
That's so
That's
cool. Yeah.
it's the most random, but yeah, I mean, that set the tone for my day. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in like a great mental health space going to pick up a CPAP and,
Right,
thinking
yeah.
about those kind of changes and everything like that. But like, that just kind of changed and that hit me in a way that I never thought I would have
That's
anybody
awesome.
excited about
Yeah.
that. So
See,
it's very cool.
you're making waves already. So I think, that's a start for you and getting out more. And I think that's awesome. And I love that for you. That's absolutely amazing. So
I
that's so
appreciate
cool.
that. I really do. And other than, being recognized, I am very thankful to be able to reach out to people. Some of my favorite things are people messaging me, letting me know that, they resonated with something. I've had people email me and tell me that they didn't listen to a podcast before, but their wife, pointed them in the direction of mine. And now they like binge the whole thing and listen
That's
to it all.
great.
And to turn somebody that doesn't listen to podcasts into an active listener is probably one of the coolest things I could have been told. Like that's huge for me. So I take it, as it comes, and I'm this 35-year-old guy in Wisconsin, and I don't know how I'm reaching people, but the fact that I am is really rewarding. So I appreciate it being seen, and it's good to talk about from time to
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing because that's what you want to do is you want to get your voice out there and other people's voice out there regarding mental health. So you're doing that. You're starting there. So it's only going to go uphill from there. Going to get better.
Absolutely appreciate it. I want to know, and I kind of gave you the heads up a little earlier, and sometimes I throw this curveball at people, but I always like to try to make sure this conversation continues to be a two-way conversation. And so I've asked you a few questions. Is there any question about my life, about the podcast, anything you'd like me to answer from you guys? I'd love to hear whatever questions you have for me because you do this too. You're able to talk, and I know you have questions, going around up there, so fire them away.
Avery's got that
I'll read them.
list.
I sent like Mandy a boatload. I was like,
She
"Is
had
this
so
too
many.
much?"
It's great.
Okay, so I guess the first one. What do you feel is like the number one thing or a piece of advice that you'd give somebody else?
Ooh, that is a
know,
good
sorry.
question.
Loaded
No,
one
it's
right off the
okay.
bat.
That's okay. What is the number one piece of advice I'd give to somebody that's like going through some stuff and all that?
Yeah, like just somebody who kind of just like needs maybe some extra support, just somebody to chat with, something like that.
I would say the biggest piece of advice I can give to somebody, if I take anything from my experience, is feel what you're feeling for the longest time, I didn't know how to experience an emotion, like holding an emotion to myself. And I got very confused. I learned how to underfeel and overthink, my therapist like to say it. So I would say, first off, just feel what you're feeling. It's valid. Like it's not something wrong with you because you're feeling this emotion. It's just life processing and understanding that you're bigger than that emotion. Like it's happening right now, but it's not defining who you are forever. And so it sounds simple, but just actually sitting there and feeling that, sitting in that discomfort, that's been such a big tool for me to move forward with my mental health journey. And I always pass that along. And the second part is just what I constantly tell people is just have those conversations, and whether that's with your friends, with your doctor, teacher, whoever you feel comfortable talking to, just the more you have conversations about what's going on with yourself, it'll bring other people out of their shell and feel more comfortable. So those would be my kind of two like main points to tell somebody if I had to give advice. So
I like those. Those are good ones. I like your line
I really
about like
like
just
too.
sitting with the discomfort.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
true. I said before, like I struggle with it, and I still do. But it's just such a good tool to have. It's just like you're okay to feel this way. Just sit with it for a second. It's not wrong to feel
it's hard.
discomfort.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and
Mm.
pretend that it's some easy thing.
Well, it's
I
not
struggle
easy.
to
No.
this day. Like there are a lot of times where I'll be in session with my therapist and he'll be like, what's going on right now? What are you feeling? And I'm like, this kind of sucks really bad. Like I don't like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it allows me to feel things because yeah, for years I didn't feel emotions. Like I learned how to just turn that off, focus on taking care of, like, is everybody else happy? What are their emotions? And making sure that, because if everyone else is good, then I'm good. And so I just learned to just shut that off. And so now in my mid 30s, it's so interesting to start feeling things that I haven't let myself feel and knowing that it's going to be okay. But yeah, that uncomfortable is a huge tool.
I think when you say that, it's learning to go through a grieving process even though you're not grieving, because nobody wants to grieve. Nobody wants to go through all those different stages. And it's the same thing when you're feeling an emotion. You don't want to feel that because you're like, I know that's going to hurt and that's going to suck. And I don't want to believe that that's how I feel. So let's push it back. And that is very important to say that out loud, because a lot of younger, well, even children, they're told, stop crying. Don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
suck it up. It's fine. And it's okay to feel those things. Cry as long as you need, do what you need to do. You'll come out of it. And the emotion will feel like it's bigger than you at that time. And it's really not. So I love that part of it too, that you said. It's true.
Yeah,
I love
I'm
it.
glad that you enjoyed it. Like I said, this is just me being as raw and honest as I
Mhm.
can. And it may sound like a vague answer, but like for me, feeling was life changing. And
Yeah.
for those that are
Yeah.
able to process and feel them, I commend you because it's huge, and it took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah. No, that is really big. And I think a lot of people struggle with it. And if, a lot of people are overly medicated, it's hard for them to really feel anything too. So that's why they're over medicated. Maybe they don't want to feel it. So yeah. Avery, I
So
know
we
you had a
got we
list.
got more questions here on your list.
I got more. The next one. What are the most important steps you Mandy, what did I
Did you?
write here?
Yeah, what did you write? We do this sometimes when we're like recording for the podcast and reading our stories, and we're like, wait a minute, I don't know what I was asking. What was I saying?
I wrote like consignment or something last week, and I needed a completely different word. I was like, what does consignment have anything to do with my
That
story right now?
yeah, I know.
And I just sit there, I'm like, interesting. Okay.
That's what
What are
makes
the
us
most
laugh.
important Yeah. What are the most important steps you think to take to prioritize your mental health? So like what do you have to do to put in line to make sure that when you need to, your mental health is a priority?
For me personally, to make my mental health priority, I'll start off with what we kind of touched on a little bit earlier with that me time and understanding, because for me, I felt a lot of guilt if I took time to just exist and do it. I felt like I should be doing something. Like if I have free time, I could be doing the dishes, I could be doing something around the house or taking care of somebody else. And so for me, understanding that even if it's uncomfortable for me, I want to take that day each week or that hour each week, whatever I can afford mentally, to just exist with myself, do something I like doing. I'm not like a huge person for video games, but like I'll sit down and play a football video game, American football obviously, but that's always come up in my Australian ones because it's a completely different sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I guess that's like one step is making sure I don't give up on that. Like it's very easy for me to go, oh no, I don't need to do that this week. I did, self care last week. And so no, like I'm gonna do it no matter what. So that's a big step for me taking care of my mental health. The other part that I have to do a lot is have uncomfortable conversations. And this happens a lot with my wife because I have lived my life avoiding conflict and any questions that might upset somebody. My brain will try to tell me, like, hey, if I tell this question, they're probably going to get mad. They're going to leave. And that's going to how the cycle goes. I had that a lot after my divorce. Like, my brain was
Same.
really
Yeah.
skewed to think that if I brought up a conflicting issue, someone would leave. And so
Mhm.
it's been a game changer to be able to have talks with my wife that are not, I can feel the pit in my stomach and it's not good, but it's something we need to talk about. And to get that reception back, like I hear you, that's valid, and get some bounce back. It's taught me accountability on a lot of times where I've had to go, I feel like the other person might be doing this and this, and she's like, well, have you looked at it from this way? And it's it's been amazing. Like I struggle so much with co-parenting, especially with my youngest son's mom. Like we did not have a great divorce, and it really rubbed us both the wrong way.
Mhm.
And so for a long time I held on to this hatred, and I had this filter on that she could do no right. And
Right.
I told a lot of people, anyone that would listen, how badly, she hurt me and everything like that. And it took to my wife to finally be like, yeah, that sucks that she did that. But like, also, can we go over your actions and
Mhm.
understand that? And over this process of having these tough conversations and her providing perspective and asking maybe questions that, because she wasn't in the situation. And that's allowed me to shine a different light on my relationship with her and to be able to see my ex wife in a better light. And so I'm very thankful to be able to have those hard, uncomfortable conversations, that little pushback when someone doesn't just agree with me, they give a little pushback. I need that from time to time. So that's another step. Like when I'm trying to keep my mental health in check, I'm like, I need to have a conversation that, is something that's on my mind and I need to speak it and I'm scared of conflict. That's kind of my sign that it's time to do it. Then if I'm scared of it, I got to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, when you kind of went into that answer, you touched into something else that was a question I had, especially for someone who has gone through divorce and kind of how you navigate things with your current wife and stuff when it comes to, past triggers that come in. So I really enjoy some of those answers because that answered the question. Because it's hard when you take, you're so used to a certain way with, your ex, and then you come into a new relationship and they never taught you how to be the other way, or they didn't know how to be that way. So you just couldn't help them and they couldn't help you. And now you're taking that somewhere else. So it's really good that you're both able to, focus on your communication and sit down and also to look at, both sides of the situation with how you are feeling about your ex, because that is a heavy one. And, it's hard when both parents are carrying around all that anger and it trickles down to the small little life you've got there. So I appreciate that. And I wish that was some information I had with my ex-husband, because that's how he was with his ex-wife before we got together, and how things were with, and they still are with her. And I think at this point now, a lot of it is, her, and I think he's slowly changing, but, there's just some people you can't get through to, which is very sad and unfortunate. And it trickles, and I still feel effects of it. And then, so like my son still feels effects of it, and it's so hard. So I'm glad you were able to, she was able to help you get past that and move to, a better, brighter, happier co-parenting experience, because that's what's important. So that's good. I'm
Yeah,
happy
and
that you were able to
I'm
do that.
thankful. It's not like I'm gonna go hang out and be an active
Yeah.
friend to my ex-wife or anything like that. But yeah, it's like I held on to this resentment for so long,
Hmm.
and especially because anger is so welcomed in the
Yeah.
side of men when we're dealing with emotion. Like, you're just taught it's okay to be upset. You're taught that that's a healthy
Mhm.
outlet to be angry, which is
Mhm.
mind blowing to say out loud. But since I knew that I would be accepted by society if I was angry, I was just angry all the time, and it ate away at me for a long, long time and blinded me from so many things. And it
It really
forced
does.
me to have to look at myself in the mirror really hard when I had to answer perspective questions from somebody that wasn't in the situation. Because in the past, I would omit facts or
Mhm.
change the story just a little bit because I wanted to be the victim in the story, and
Mhm.
she's the monster and the villain. And uh, it's a lot. It's a lot of growing up to go. No, we were two people that were incompatible to date each other. We both had really parts to play in this, and so that's been one of the hardest things and one of the most welcome things is that,
Mhm.
like, okay, maybe I don't need to hold on to that anger anymore.
Yeah. No, and that's so good that you could let go of it because I mean, anger consumes you. And I think me and Avery talked about this in one of our recent recordings of the podcast is, it's the saying where you you like for how does it go? It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die is exactly what anger is.
Yeah.
It's like you can be as angry because it takes over you and it
It
takes over
does.
who you were as a person and you become a completely different person and it's like you've lost who you used to be and you can't see past it, right? So
No.
it's like
The
people.
narrative of being like angry and holding a lot of resentment towards somebody else
Mhm.
is just, it's unfortunate, but it's easier to take on and it's easier to write than owning up and saying, okay, yep, there's probably back and forth here. It's not just one sided, but in the moment, the anger just, it gets so overwhelming where you're like, I did not do anything wrong. It was all the other person. It's easier to point the finger at somebody else.
And I think that's, where mental health is, a huge issue because, you can't focus on your actual emotions. You can't get past it. And so your mental health just keeps declining because you're so angry. It takes so much out of you. You can't focus on anything else and you can't help yourself get better. Or nobody else can help you get better because that's
Yeah.
all you see. And I know people who still struggle with that. And, I lived with someone and married someone who was like that for years, having that anger towards someone else. And it affected everyone in the household and eventually, led us where we are. But some people just aren't compatible and some people just bring out the worst in other people. And, you know, you probably never, if you had never met them, maybe you never would have become that person because some people will, change your mental health and turn you into someone else based on where their capacity is and what their mental health is. And so I'm glad you're, on a better path and you have a great partner and a great support system and someone who will put you in your place. And I got Avery for
I
that.
do need it
That's
from time
just
to
what she
time.
was.
Otherwise, I'll just run rampant, and then I do unsupervised things, and we don't want that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
same. I know. Avery, I'm like, Avery, come get me.
Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. But it's so true. Like I said before, like Mandy's kind of like, I don't want to keep calling you like a mom figure, but like she's just like the older sister that I don't have. That like, if I know I'm being out of line, it's either my mom is going to be like calling me out on my shit or it's
But
going to
your
be
mom doesn't
Mandy.
take any shit from you. Yeah.
No. So Mandy and I recorded with my mom a couple weeks ago and the back and forth between the two of them. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, you know
Okay.
what? This
All
is
right.
love. I get
It is.
It's
Gotta be
great. I
harsh.
always picture, like, it's when you start dating somebody new and they have the same kind of sense of humor as, like, your best friend, and you sit down
Mhm.
and suddenly it turns into they're just making fun of you back and forth, and you're like, oh, why I didn't sign up for this? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on here?
What just happened?
That definitely happened when I started dating my boyfriend now. I was so anxious for him to meet my best friend, Carissa, just because she's like an overprotective
I
person in
love
my
her.
life.
Yeah.
Like she is just full of sass and wit and like if
Mhm.
you wrong me in any way, she's coming for you. Like she is like a knight for me. I was just there's so much anxiety around her meeting my boyfriend Jacob because I'm like, this could make or break it. Like if she has beef with you, that's it. Like I gotta respect what she wants at this point.
Yeah.
And they sat in my basement just over here on the couch, and we were playing like Mario Party or something. And I remember I was kicking ass. I was like, yes, I'm on top of the world. The two of them just started like attacking me. And I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? You guys are the same person, pretty much. Like, what did I do here?
That's great. As we start to like wrap up here again, I can't believe it's already at the hour mark. That's
I
crazy.
know.
Yeah.
Did you have more questions on your list or anything else you want to make sure you touch on before we get to all the other stuff at the end of the episode?
I think kind of like in our conversations, you hit the rest of them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to block you guys after this, so you'll never be able to ask me again. So
You know what, Avery? We got to do it
Exiled.
first. No, it's a competition now.
I can't say it enough. Like, the community has been great, and I can't see any scenario where I don't check in with you two at during the week and send at least an Instagram message. And it's great to watch stories and just I'm really appreciative. I see the love and support that you two have for each other, and it pours out to other people every time. Like, I can only speak for myself, but every time we've spoken, you've made me feel heard, seen, accepted, cared for, and asking about problems that aren't yours, and that's appreciated. And so from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you two for becoming my friend and my connection here in the podcast world. And it's really made me happy. So I think.
Oh, we appreciate that. That's, we're not good with compliments. I know I'm not.
Both of us are sitting here like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
Honestly, we love that. Like we said it originally at the beginning, we didn't expect to be anything. We just thought like one person would listen to us and maybe two. And, here we are. We have a great community. We've become so many, a lot of friends, and not even in the true crime area, the genre, because you've got a different genre. But, we have so much support from you also. And we are happy to support you, put your podcast out there because it is a really important subject for us also. And obviously, because you're awesome. So we want to make sure other people get to know you too and kind of, help support and keep going and growing and doing good things. So thank you. Thank you. We do appreciate it.
We appreciate just you like interacting with us. Like it's been such a wild ride. And I say this often, like Mandy and I, we share the Instagram account, but like Mandy's really on the forefront of it. I don't have access to any of that like while I'm at work, but
I do. My boss doesn't care.
Here I am. Like if I pull my phone out, a kid's gonna swipe it or something and run away with it. But today's a good example. I don't have my phone on me, but I'm wearing my watch, and all of a sudden, like I can just feel my watch buzzing over and over and over again. I'm like, oh no, like an emergency! What's happening? So I finally look at my watch, and it's like, Mike Yum, you likes your story, likes your story, likes. And it was just like a continuous line. I was like,
I love those.
like that. It feels so good. In the moment, I was like, oh, urgency, and then I was like, it's just one of our best friends supporting us at this point. Like it's a really
it is an
incredible
urgency.
feeling.
It's our best friend telling us we're awesome. That's the emergency.
Look at all of this amazing stuff. Yeah.
I can't stop sharing it enough. And congrats. It was just over 50 episodes now we're at, right? With Thick Thighs Creepy Vibes.
And that's just a regular episode. So we have, because we were doing a lot of Sunday Scaries at the beginning just to kind of get content out there. So we did a lot in the beginning. We did way more than we probably. A lot. We were doing like 2 a week.
Yeah, that was something that we really had to recognize. Like we were so gung-ho to get all these episodes out and just create this big, wonderful community that we were like, okay, we need to record every week. We need to put out an episode on Wednesday and then a Sunday Scaries on Sunday. And I know it was hard for me, like researching stuff. And then I felt the guilt of like, Mandy, like I'm falling behind a little bit and I still need to edit all of this. So it was a great conversation that we had of like, well, maybe we need to scale back. So we're putting out like the best product. We're not just kind of half-assing, like throwing stuff at people that they're not going to listen to. But yes, we hit I think our 51st episode came out last week. And then we had like 34, 35 Sunday Scaries out too. So
Sunday Scaries, yeah.
And
so it's a lot
always
for
fun.
A year.
So yeah, I mean, that's impressive. And we share a release day of Wednesday, so that's always fun to be able to promote my stuff and then turn around immediately and promote your guys' stuff. And so it's always good. And I work from home. I'm remote 100%. So
Okay.
podcasts are how I feel like I'm a part of the conversation happening. And so it's nice to hear like two people talking. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so it brings me back to being around people, which is nice. So,
Yeah.
but it's incredible. You should be super proud of what you've done.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of both of
Thank
you
you.
for what you've done. Everyone listening, every Wednesday, listen to Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes, Sunday Scaries. Let's see, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. If you're on Instagram, which you should be, it is TCV Podcasts. If you're on TikTok, like all the cool kids are, Thick Thighs, Creepy Vibes. Where else can they find you if they're looking for content?
That's about it. We and our
That's about
TikTok.
it.
Please don't look at it. It's awful. But you know what? I'm like, I am not a TikTok person. Like, I tried the TikTok thing, and I'm gonna be 40, man. I don't get it. I have to ask Avery. I'm like, I don't understand it. And then Avery's like, okay, I'm gonna try. But then she's like,
I'm too
Just
awkward for this
okay.
life. Like, I can't. We always joke around. Like, maybe one day we'll put out YouTube or something, and then we'll go and we'll record. Like, last week we were recording at Mandy's house, and we're both
Mhm.
sitting there. And I don't remember what we did, but we were like, this is why we don't record ourselves. Like, this is why we don't put out
can't be on
videos.
YouTube.
What are we doing?
Yeah, like it's
So-
like chaos. So we can't.
It's wild. Mandy's making fun
I
of my
get
short
that.
legs.
Okay, well, I got them too. It's just how it goes. You get like random dogs, random kids. Like we were on Where the Weird Ones Are with Kevin, and we were recording. He has YouTube, right? So of course I'm in my basement. Avery's at home. And out of nowhere, my youngest just comes up right behind me. I didn't know he was there. Scared the shit out of all of us. And of course, there's my kid on, out on YouTube on Kevin's thing. And I'm like, this is why we can't record and be on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is always random stuff happening. Cat walking across. I don't know. Something.
We are pure chaos.
I thought I understood TikTok, but I think Instagram's like where I fully understand most of it
Yeah.
at least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's like I don't want to trick anyone listening. I'm not great with technology. The other day my wife made fun of me because I tried to send an email to a do not reply email address like twice. Big old struggle sometimes. Like I have a lot of boomer moments for a 35-year-old. So
It's okay.
but yeah, definitely please, if you are on social media, check them out. I can't stress it enough. If you're on my Instagram, I'm sure you've seen me share it to my story. Go check out Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes. So much good stuff coming. Anything else you guys want to say before we let everyone get back to whatever they do when they're not listening to the two of us?
Just thank you from the bottom of our hearts to you, Mikey, for putting it out there, and to everyone listening. Just keep doing it. Everyone's just really awesome, and we're really glad to be here.
Yeah. And just remember, you're not alone. There's always someone to talk to. And if you're not sure, just give Mikey a call.
Absolutely. I'm
He's here
always
to
a
listen.
message away. Like I'm probably on Instagram too much. It's a good thing I work remotely
Same.
that no one can
Yeah.
see because I'm on Instagram a lot. So before I release the picture I sent of how I thought I was going to be on the cover of Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes, we don't need to put that out in the public. Before I go down that road, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mikey going back on mute. Until next time, thank you, everyone. This episode of Mikey on Mute is brought to you by Little Jerk Society. Little Jerk Society is a clothing company fueled by the raw energy of creative rebellion, celebrating those who march to the beat of their own drum. They care deeply about mental health and believe in a world where everyone can thrive, regardless of their challenges. Use promo code MikeyOnMute to save 15% on your order at littlejerkclothing.com. Again, that's littlejerkclothing.com. And remember, use promo code MikeyOnMute, all one word, to save yourself 15%. Go off and make a change.